Hello, my fellow rogues. You've come to the right place. Welcome to the Rogue Show, where we talk about media, politics, religion, story writing, and how sucking my schlong will literally send you to heaven. Anyways, evidence is crucial when it comes to making a sound argument. But some, I may be bold to say, most, don't know how evidence works. So what is evidence? How many fucking times do I have to tell you? You've come to the right. So let's break it down. Evidence is an objective, verifiable fact or a body of them that indicate one over the other. So if I make a claim that viruses inject their DNA in your cells to replicate themselves, then I can cite biology textbooks, peer-reviewed studies, or even, if I have the microscope and stuff, doing a laboratory experiment for myself. And all of it would line up with the viruses injecting their DNA into cells to replicate. All that would indicate that over viruses fucking the cell and just leaving it for the milk. If I make the claim that God created everything, however, and then say something can't come out of nothing, that's not evidence. Because not only is that subjective, not only is that intuitive, but it does not indicate a God over pink, gay as shit unicorns that shut out everything and kill themselves. Though evidence has some caveats. Say, for instance, I pose the question, is Abraham Lincoln real? Well, you still have textbooks, studies from historians, all pointing to Abraham Lincoln. However, for the examples above to be evidence, they need to correspond to the relics of the past, the artifacts of history. For example, historical documents like the Emancipation Proclamation. I think Abraham wrote that, I don't know. I can prove Abraham Lincoln. You also might find a painting of him. You also might find unrelated writings cross-confirming that Abraham Lincoln existed. And because of all that, that's where the historians and all the textbooks get their information from. So that is historical evidence. But what about scientific evidence? So what about the theory of evolution or other scientific theories like cell theory, how ions work, etc. All the things we know, once again, have textbooks, peer-reviewed studies, well-known scientists talking about them, but all of that is contingent on what the scientists have done in a lab, what those bastards have studied and published. So, cell theory works because we've studied cells under microscopes and what they do. Atomic theory works because we can demonstrate the effects of atoms. And, fuck, if I know the methodology, then call me a genius. And finally, the theory of evolution would also be valid because we have transitional fossils. We studied bacteria becoming immune to certain antibacterial substances. I forgot the name of the study. That's not to mention our DNA similarities with a multitude of other animals. And all of it is the same methodology you use to find out if your parents are actually your parents. There's also vestigial structures. There's also the geological column, and so forth. I could go on about the different examples of evidence or what isn't evidence, but I really want to drive this point in because many people don't know what it truly is, what counts as evidence, how much evidence you need. So, let's jump straight to the standard of evidence. Since I'm not a rogue with many brain cells, I'm just a rogue with not that much brain cells, I'll try to explain this the best I can. So, what determines the amount of evidence needed is how big the claim is. For instance, let's say you ate a cake. You fucking pig. And some little girl cries to me and says, "That guy ate my cake." The evidence I need is pretty easy to find. Is there icing on your face? Does your breath smell like cake? Were you coincidentally near the site of the crime? If we knock you out, grab a kitchen knife, and we find delicious batter in your stomach contest a feast, the evidence of you eating a 6-year-old Sally's birthday is much easier to find than you stabbing her mother to death. You piece of shit. You ate Sally's cake and then killed her mom? You scum of the earth, you piece of worthless fuck. Anyways, I would need to use forensics. I would need to find a letter testifying you murdered Sally's mom. I need to cross-examine eyewitnesses. And any collection of those 3 things plus more. It may vary depending on the crime. But I just can't say, you have blood on your hands. You're the murderer. Go to jail. Monopoly style. So, because the blood on your hands doesn't isolate the possibility that you were just panicked. You're so grieved that you tried to cover up her wounds and thinking she'll be okay. But we all know what happened. Anyways, so that's what I mean by the standard evidence. But how do we determine how big a claim is? Well, it's simply a matter of how well it corresponds with reality. The claim a unicorn exists is a hell of a lot bigger than your mother exists. Because one corresponds with reality quite well, and one really doesn't. Unless you're talking about rhinoceroses, which they're kind of related to horses, and they have big horn, but I digress. Yeah. Your mother's existence is not all out there. Since everyone knows a pregnancy usually comes from a mother, but a unicorn existing is pretty much detached from reality, except for rhino. Even seeing one doesn't even prove they exist. I'm talking about the white horse with the horn, not the rhinoceros. Anyways, that doesn't prove that they exist, even if multiple people see it. Because we know about psychedelics. We know near-death experiences cause you to hallucinate, cause you to trick your brain into seeing what you want to see. We know that schizophrenia has lovely effects as well. The list goes on. So, that should be it. That is the true nature of evidence. So let's quickly run this down to be quite simple. So, evidence is objective verifiable facts or body of facts that indicate one over the other. Then how big the claim is depends on how much evidence you need, and the claim, how we determine how big it is how attached to reality it is. But once again, not many people know this is what evidence truly is. And it's all too common for people to dumb down evidence as being the world being fine-tuned to prove that Moses put chemicals in the bread to make the frickin' frogs gay. But hopefully this helps higher your standards of evidence in a pretty digestible and enjoyable way. Yeah. You still here? Get lost. Now.